So I want to tell you my story about being in an abusive domestic violence relationship. I want to put this out there for people who are going through it, people who survived it, people who don't understand it. I want to put it out there for the people that need to hear this. I have been 8 months so far without saying a word to him, no matter how many times he's tried to message me or contact me in some way. It took me 8 months to be able to tell this story, and I don't even know if I'm ready right now, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's time. My biggest fear with doing this is him seeing the video and freaking out on me, but also the criticism of other people. If you ever run into someone and learn that they've gone through this or something similar, please don't judge them for that. Please listen and know that they are stronger than you will ever believe that anyone could ever be. Because if they survived it, they're a survivor. They did amazing things that maybe you couldn't even imagine. They're lucky to be alive, because people who are like him, they hurt people and they murder people and they do terrible things. Here's his past that I am aware of, at least, that I wasn't aware of before, obviously, but I figured out, through researching, asking family of his and reading texts that he sent to his dad, and also a girl that had gone through something with him that wasn't great. His backstory: he pretty much grew up with his mom, and his 2 brothers. Actually 3, but one was kind of a half brother and he wasn't there all the time. Dad was kind of abusive. Mom also kind of abusive. Drank a lot, partied a lot, kind of neglected them, homeschooled them also. Didn't believe in, taking them to the doctors, blah, blah, stuff like that. Went through a divorce. His dad and mom were just fighting out all the time. Pretty much it ended up where they were about, I think he said he was 17. And his mom, they originally moved to Texas for his dad's business / going to school here to make his business better and to just learn more stuff. But they ended up getting divorced. His mom came back to Kentucky, where they're from, and stayed in the house that he grew up in, and his dad owned that house and turned it off, and his mom left them there alone, her 3 boys. Later on I figured out it's because of the person that I am talking about. It's the way he acts, the way he is, the outbursts he has. He throws things, he breaks things, he screams. I don't know what mental illness he has, but he has something. And whether he's a narcissist, whether he's got bipolar, whether he's a psychopath, a sociopath, I don't know. But he has something. And so she admitted that that's why she left. I've talked to her before and stuff. He even knows that. And anyways, so that happens. He also comes and he pretty much admits to manipulating this girl into letting him live at her house so he has a place to live, and he abuses her. He chokes her to pretty much unconsciousness. She immediately calls the police as he leaves, and he gets arrested and charged. And so he moves back to Texas at some point in his story. And this is kind of where I start actually first meeting him. He pretty much also, as far as I know, there was this girl that messaged me on Facebook, and she told me a very disturbing story of when they were younger. Well, she was younger. He was like 17. And he pretty much raped her and drugged her with heroin. I don't know the whole story. I don't know what's true, but at this point in time right now, I will have to believe her because I cannot believe him. This man has held a knife to my throat. He has held me down countless times, screaming at me. He's pulled my hair, shoved me, held me up against the window in his car. Has said the worst things in the world to me that you could never imagine. He would try to disturb me. He would actually look things up on his phone of people getting murdered and try to disturb me with them when he was mad. He would just yell at me and say the worst things in the world to me, and he stole from my family, and it's taken countless and countless and countless money from me. And I just wanted to help him. And that was dumb of me to want to help him. And the worst parts about it is I stayed through a lot of that. There was the last probably 6 months, maybe 8 months that we were actually together that I knew I was gonna get out and I needed to get out. Before that, the only thing I was thinking was, I'm not going to survive this. I'm not going to ever have my life back. I chose this path that I can't get out of. And before that, I was thinking, I need to help him. He needs help. And those are the stages I went through. And I am so thankful that I got to the point of saying I'm done. And it wasn't easy. I remember he pretty much got to the point where he was just asking for money all the time, and that's all he really cared about. He was thankfully moved back into like his mom's house in Kentucky at the time. Luckily, very, very luckily, or I don't know if I would be alive right now. I've wrestled a gun out of this man's hands, and I think about a lot of what could have happened if he would have decided to shoot the gun, if he would have successfully shot himself, because that's what he was planning on doing. I think about the time that he held a knife to my throat and if he actually went through with it. I think about all the times that he could have just murdered my family. And it scares me to death to think that I ever did that. He made me look so disgusting in front of my family that I don't know if I can ever forgive myself for letting the things that happened happen. I don't know. I'm still working on that part. I'm working on a lot. there is a sort of PSTD that comes with surviving this stuff. You can't sleep. You have bad dreams all the time. You feel like you're just, at any moment it could happen, you know, that he's just gonna show up and you're gonna have to fight for your life, you know. He knows where I live. He knows where I work. He knows everything about me. And the only thing that's keeping me safe right now is the fact that he's in Kentucky, if he even still is there. He somehow still manages to find ways to contact me multiple times, even though the day that I said goodbye to him and said I was done, I have not said one damn word to him ever again. He called me on the phone, yelling and screaming at me because I was done. He hadn't messaged me for a while. Well, I say a while, but he went from not letting me live at all without him. It was constant, this, all about him. If it wasn't, he was freaking out, mad at me and stuff, to kind of going a few days without talking to me and stuff. And I felt happy. I was like, I feel so relieved. I feel so happy to not have to deal with him. And then he calls me and he yells at me and he's screaming at me. And I just felt fire go through my body. Like, I was not scared anymore. At that moment, at least, I was not. I was done. And I yelled so loud at him back that I didn't even know I could yell that loud. He went silent and he hung up the phone. And I felt kind of at peace finally. He tried calling me back and I just never answered again. I canceled his phone the next day because I was paying for it. And yes, he made threats that I believed. I remember we have the doorbell thing that, like, if the motion ring thing, and every time it went off, I was terrified. And there was one night in particular, he was already saying that he was going to come. I even alerted the police. The police were like ready, you know, kind of. And they believed me when I said that he was gonna come, and he was so mentally insane that he would, you know, come. And so they said they were patrolling the area. I don't know if they were, but I remember that it went off and I flipped out. I was shaking. I was hysterically screaming and crying, and I hid in my mom's bathroom. And she just saw that part of me that I wish she never had to see. But thankfully it wasn't him, and he hasn't come back yet. And I'm sure it's because, I mean, he's all the way in Kentucky. He doesn't have my money anymore. He can't keep a job. He's got a record, so it's hard for him to find a job. Every time he gets one, he kind of, you know, lets it go or whatever. He always finds some reason why he can't have it. He has these crazy notions that he's gonna be like a millionaire one day and blah blah and stuff like this. But it's like, and you were taking my money and buying weed with it, because if you didn't have weed, you acted like a psycho. Another thing about him, he acted like a psycho without weed. If he did not have it, he would flip out, like he was just like having a nervous breakdown without it. I could have died multiple times. I got humiliated. I got physically hurt. Luckily not as bad as the other girls, but I did not fight back. I sat there and I took it until it was over, because I didn't want to know what happened if I fought back. I didn't want to die. But I stayed. And I don't know how that works. I think about the little warning signs that I had at the beginning and wish that I would have listened to them. I get anxiety anytime I feel like I might be meeting someone that I am getting along with well and might possibly date. I freak out and I back out now, and I don't even know how to tell someone that. I don't feel like I can find anyone genuine enough. But one thing I know, I will never be treated like that ever again in my life. They groom you from the beginning. They make you feel like they love you. They make you fall in love so deeply through manipulation, and then they just very slowly add little tidbits here and there to kind of groom you into getting used to being treated like shit. And they keep doing it and they keep doing it until you're just used to it. You're numb, you're nothing, you're a no one, you have no feelings, you're empty. They make you feel like this is your life, you're used to it. And if you're lucky enough to break out of it, if you're lucky enough to survive and not get murdered when you do try to get out of it, then that's all I can hope for. I am lucky. I played it smart. I remember when I decided I need to get out, and I pretended that I still was in love with him, and I manipulated him back just the way he manipulated me, and I'm not proud of the fact that I did that. But I did it to survive, and I did. When he would try and ask for money and stuff, even if I had the money closer to the end, I would be, giving him this sob story of how I couldn't, give him money and stuff like that, and be like, well, maybe I can give you this much, and I'd give him like $5 just to appease him when I could have given him more. Like, I thought of every way possible that I could get out of it, and then I did, and I'm alive, and I can't be any more happier to do that. I am struggling mentally from this stuff, but he will not ever touch me again. No one will do that to me again, and we need to be aware of these things and not judge people for going through this, because at the end of the day, there's someone that cared a lot. There's someone that has been hurt and manipulated and beaten down until they were nothing, and they need help, and they are in danger to be being murdered. I didn't go into great detail of all of the things that he is and he does and he was and he will be, and I didn't go into great detail of the person that he actually is and all the crazy things that he's done. But just know that there are people out there that are like that. And there are people out there like me that are gullible, was gullible, and want to help people. And they go after us like a pack of wolves go after their kill. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to help the people that are going through that right now, and help them become survivors and no longer victims. Thank you for listening to this, and I hope that this helps somebody out there, at least to be aware, if not help them want to get out of the situation they are, or at least make them feel better about surviving. And bye.